The year is 1741. The Caribbean sun beats mercilessly on the fortified walls of Cartagena de Indias, a glittering jewel in Spain's New World empire. Across the horizon, an apocalyptic sight unfolds. 186 British warships, their sails blotting out the sky, advance like a storm. Aboard these vessels are 27,000 soldiers and sailors, armed with 2,000 cannons, the largest invasion force Britain has ever assembled. Their mission? To crush Spain's grip on the Americas. Their target? A one-legged, one-eyed, one-armed Spanish admiral named Blas De Lezo. This is not fiction, this is history, raw, brutal, and unforgettable. Blas De Lezo y Olavarrieta was born in 1689 in the rugged Basque country of northern Spain. By age 12, he traded childhood for cannon smoke, joining the Spanish Navy as a midshipman. War became his education. By 17, he was thrust into the War of Spanish Succession, a brutal conflict where Europe's empires clashed over the Spanish throne. At 15, Lezo faced his baptism by fire. During the Battle of Vélez Malaga, a French-Spanish fleet clashed with the British Royal Navy. A cannonball tore through the deck, shattering Lezo's left leg. Surgeons amputated it below the knee. Most men would retire. Lezo chose a wooden peg and a vow: I will serve Spain until my last breath. 3 years later at Toulon, a musket ball struck Lezo's left eye. He ripped the ruined orb out himself, later joking, "The sea needs no binoculars to smell British fear." By 25, another battle left his right arm paralyzed by shrapnel. Yet Lezo fought on, rising through the ranks with a mix of audacity and cunning. By his 30s, he was known as Medio Hombre, the half-man. But his enemies would learn. A half-man with a full mind was more dangerous than any army. In 1739, Britain declared war on Spain over trade disputes, dubbed the War of Jenkins' Ear. After a smuggler's severed ear became a rallying cry. For Britain, Cartagena de Indias was the prize, a gateway to South America's riches. Admiral Edward Vernon, a hero of the British Empire, was tasked with its capture. Vernon's confidence bordered on arrogance. His fleet dwarfed the Spanish defenses, 186 ships including 28 massive warships, 27,000 soldiers, veterans of European battles, 2,000 cannons. Against this, Lezo had 6 ships, 3 of them barely seaworthy, 3,000 men, a mix of sailors, soldiers, and local militia. Fortifications, but many were crumbling. Vernon was so certain of victory that he minted commemorative medals in advance. One showed Lezo kneeling in surrender. The inscription read, "Spanish pride humbled by Vernon." The British bombardment began on March 13, 1741. For weeks, cannon fire rained on Cartagena. Lezo's strategy: deception, adaptation, ruthlessness. Phase 1. The Seawall Gambit. Lezo ordered his 6 ships sunk in the harbor's entrance, creating a barrier to block British ships. Vernon's fleet, unable to advance, bombarded the city from afar. But Lezo had secretly reinforced the forts with sandbags and trenches. "Let them waste their powder," he said. Phase 2. The Trap at San Luis. When British troops stormed the outer fort of San Luis, Lezo feigned retreat. As Vernon's men celebrated, they walked into a kill zone. Spanish snipers hidden in the jungle picked off redcoats. Dysentery and yellow fever spread through British ranks. Phase 3. The Night of Blades. Desperate, Vernon ordered a night attack on the critical San Felipe de Barajas castle. But Lezo had ordered the fortress walls smeared with grease and dung. British scaling ladders slipped. Soldiers fell screaming. Spanish troops then charged with machetes, turning the battle into a slaughterhouse. Phase 4. The Final Humiliation. After 67 days, Vernon retreated. His casualties? Over 10,000 dead, most from disease. Lezo's losses? Fewer than 800. The British burned ships to hide their shame. Spain's victory should have made Lezo a legend. Instead, politics poisoned his triumph. Rival officers, jealous of his success, accused him of cowardice. King Philip V, swayed by false reports, stripped Lezo of honors. Broken and ill, Lezo died months later, buried in an unmarked grave. Britain, too, erased the disaster. Vernon's medals were melted down. History books glossed over Cartagena, but the truth could not be killed. Today, Blas De Lezo's statue stands guard in Cartagena and Madrid. His story is an anthem to the human spirit. A boy who became an admiral, a cripple who outthought empires, a ghost who haunts the pages of forgotten history. In 2015, a British newspaper finally admitted Vernon's defeat was the greatest humiliation the Royal Navy ever suffered. Lezo's final words: lost to time, but his actions roar across centuries. No obstacle is insurmountable, no enemy is invincible, and true strength lies not in limbs but in will.